Welcome and thank you very much for checking out my review of Fantasy Island, the latest horror reimagining of something classic that wasn't horror originally, but now it's directed by Wadlow and it stars Michael Peña, Lucy Hale, and Maggie Q, among many others, and tells the story of several people who win a contest to get a trip to Fantasy Island, where all their fantasies are promised to become real. But as things start to get too serious, they get a little too nightmarish for our contestants. This is from the same creative team as Truth or Dare. A classic, of course, in its own right, and it even has one of the same stars in Lucy Hale. Now, this is a film that is so easy to pinpoint and talk about what doesn't work that it almost takes the fun out of sitting here and reviewing the film for you, because the film is really late at coming out here in the UK. It just came out last Friday on March 6th. It's been out in the US since Valentine's Day, I believe. Wow! This really fucking sucked. I'm not going to discuss which is the better film between this and Truth or Dare. In Truth or Dare, I will say, however, that at least I had fun with how dumb and stupid and nonsensical it was, how serious it took itself. This Fantasy Island is just boring. You're never given a reason to care for any of these people. Everything about these characters, every single characteristic that maybe defines or shows a hint at a personality is conveyed through dialogue. Barely any action has any story information in it. And speaking of characters, let's talk about, for a minute, how a character in a narrative works. How does a filmmaker, or just in general a storyteller, make you care and relate to a character? You have a character, you put him or her in any situation, and then you have them make logical choices. You have them think and do things that an actual human being would do, and none of these people do any of that. Not that I think you should see this film, but not to spoil anything, at the end, there's a big twist, supposedly big twist, and you're supposed to either just accept it or think that it does make sense for this character to do this. In a way, it kind of does, but at the same time, the rest of the film is completely thrown to shit. Because every single fucking scene in this movie is absolutely, utterly unnecessary if you just have this revealed near the beginning of the film, which would make a whole lot of sense. And now that we gotten over that, let's talk about script, because this isn't one. This is a first draft, and hell, I like to think that I wrote better first drafts than this, because the scripting for this movie, my god, talk about explaining things. That's all this movie does. Every scene is someone explaining to another person something that they're thinking or something about what is happening. And that's just a movie. I just told you the movie. People explain things to other people. It's so entertaining, isn't it? That's what you pay for a ticket to go watch a movie, is to have characters explaining not only to you, the audience, but to other characters what is going on, what they are thinking, and what they think about what is going on. Talk about a movie that has such a cool, inventive premise and then doing nothing with it. Hell, less than nothing. Look at the trailer for this film and think about the lamest, most obvious things you can do. One, you're not going to get it because they do nothing that makes sense. Number two, they don't even make the most obvious choice. They do something beyond that nobody would ever even think of. If I'm going to talk about the acting, I don't think anyone is good in this film, and that's due to the script. These people couldn't pull off a miracle in this. I guess Michael Peña is alright, but I do believe he's very miscast. I think Maggie Q does fine, I guess, but her fantasy for most of this film is absolutely unnecessary. Everyone is either running away from these creepy nurses or fighting for their lives in some way because a guerrilla comes in through their mansion, or they're in the middle of a war. But then Maggie Q is just in the beach with her husband and with her young daughter. And that's her fantasy. Suddenly, it changes, and that's all I'm going to say, but what the fuck was that then? Why the hell are we watching that? Why is that part of the film? I gotta say, the one thing I did find very funny is that Ryan Hansen and Jimmy O Yang essentially have the same dynamic in here as they did in Who's the Boss or Like a Boss or whatever the fuck that movie was called. And so, are they playing the same characters in both movies? Because what are the odds, you know? If I see them together in a movie until the end of the year, I'll expect this to be the 2020, the year of these two guys playing essentially the same character in many shitty movies. I swear to God, even with these late release dates for the UK, I never thought I'd get such a January movie in March. Especially because it is originally a February movie. It's not even from January. And yet, it so much feels like that movie you're going to see on the first week of January in the new year. This has a January 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever, slapped onto it so hard. Fantasy Island has nothing creative, invented, or imaginative to offer. Not on a story basis, on a character basis, on taking a premise and doing something with it basis. I'm giving Fantasy Island an F. And the only reason this is not my worst movie of the year so far is because The Turning was such an incomplete film. At least this is complete, but that's not really a win, is it? Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful geekies. You are the best. Stay tuned for more reviews to come, and check out my reviews of the Clone Wars episodes that have aired so far. And of course, check out my first episode of the podcast I created and launched with my very good friend Zach Pope. I'll leave a link to that in the description and a window for that at the end of this video. Thank you so much once again. So until the next video, stay beautiful, stay geeky, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video because it really helps me and the channel out. But most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.